soon after the marriage of Lakshmi and Nimai, the great devotee Ishwara Puri came to Navadvip. Ishwara Puri was that illustrious disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that when Madhavendra Puri was on his performing his final pastimes, about to disappear from this world, Ishwara Puri, as his personal servant, was continuously with him. Madhavendra Puri, during his last days, was so old he was an invalid. Ishwara Puri, with great love and devotion, would clean the stool and urine from the body of his Guru Maharaj with his own hands. And he continuously was describing the beautiful qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna. And for the pleasure of his Guru Maharaj, he was constantly chanting the holy names. He gave so much pleasure to his spiritual master by this deeply humble, menial, submissive devotional service that Madhavendra Puri blessed him. May you, my child, always float in the ocean of divine love for Lord Krishna. Because Ishwara Puri received the blessings of Madhavendra Puri, he became the most exalted disciple. Madhavendra Puri had many disciples. Nityananda Prabhu, Advaitacharya Prabhu, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Sriranga Puri, Paramananda Puri, Keshav Bharati Maharaj. Ishwara Puri came to Navadvip, and he arrived at the house of Advaitacharya. But he was dressed in such poor and ragged clothes that no one could identify who he was or what a great personality he was. They just accepted him like an ordinary beggar. He sat before Advaitacharya. And Advaitacharya started looking at him again and again. And he asked, "Who are you? What is your name?" And Ishwara Puri replied, "I am the most fallen and lowest of Shudras. I have come here to take shelter of your lotus feet." Mukunda Dutt, upon hearing this, began a beautiful kirtan. He started chanting the holy names. And as he chanted this kirtan, Ishwara Puri became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. He fell to the ground and began to weep. There were rivers and rivers and rivers of tears flowing from his beautiful eyes, soaking all directions. He was rolling on the ground in genuine, pure ecstasy of love for Krishna. When the devotees saw such pure, unparalleled love, they all began to cry in ecstatic love and chant the holy names. And when they found out this was that great legendary disciple of Madhavendra Puri, Sri Ishwara Puri, devotees were filled with bliss. Ishwara Puri remained in Navadvip for several months. He stayed at the house of Gopinath Acharya. And every evening he would give class from a book he had written himself of the name Krishna Lila Amrita. And Gadadhar Pandit, each day Gadadhar Pandit would come and he would study under Ishwara Puri. Gadadhar Pandit was so completely renounced and devotional and humble from his very birth. This great son of Madhava Mishra charmed the heart of Ishwara Puri, who just showered him with blessings and affection at all times. One day, after Vishwambar had taught his students, he was going along the bank of the Ganges, and he happened to meet Srila Ishwara Puri. The Lord bowed down, and Ishwara Puri, upon seeing the charming qualities, he asked, "Who are you?" One of the students said, "This is Nimai Pandit." He said, "Oh, you are that famous scholar Nimai Pandit I have heard of." And Nimai invited Ishwara Puri to kindly come to his home for prasad. He brought Srila Ishwara Puri home, and Sachimata and Lakshmi Devi cooked wonderful prasad, and the Lord served with his own hands. And then for the rest of the day in the household temple of Lord Vishnu, the family members inquired from Ishwara Puri on topics of Krishna. And with his heart drowning in an ocean of ecstatic prema, Ishwara Puri narrated the teachings and the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Each evening, Lord Chaitanya would go to Gopinath Acharya's house to have darshan of Ishwara Puri. And one day, Ishwara Puri, who was later to be the initiating spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya, he said, "I am writing this book, Krishna Lila Amrita, and you are a very great scholar. I would like you to do editing work for my book to make sure that everything is just according to the proper scholarly standards." And Lord Chaitanya replied that you are a pure devotee of Krishna. Any words that are spoken or written by a pure devotee are perfect. Anything that is done in love is perfect. Even if by material consideration there is some mistake or flaw, because it is offered with pure devotion, it is perfect. And anyone who considers anything done by a pure devotee to have flaws is a great offender and is condemned. You are such a pure devotee of the Lord. Whatever you do is perfect. How can I correct what you have done? When Ishwara Puri heard Lord Chaitanya glorifying the path of bhakti, he became very happy. But then he explained, "But still, as a service, please point out whatever mistakes may be there." One evening, when Ishwara Puri was narrating from his book, Lord Chaitanya explained that the proper use of this verb is not correct. And he pointed out the particular verb. I believe it was atmapade. It should not be like this. It should be a different verb. And then Lord Chaitanya left. The next day when Lord Chaitanya came, Ishwarapuri said, I considered what you said, but actually the verb I used was correct. There is no mistake with it. So I will leave it as it is. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Nimai Pandit was the greatest scholar, could defeat anyone and everyone in logic and argument. He was soon to defeat the Digvijay Pandit when his spiritual master corrected him and told him he was wrong. Lord Chaitanya, with great love and devotion, accepted defeat from his devotee. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada, when he first met Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on Ultadanka Junction Road in Calcutta at the Bhakti Vinod Bhavan, in the first Gaudiya Mat, he explained to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati that you are asking that I help to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya all over the world? But India is at this time a dependent country. We are under the subjugation of the British Empire. We should stand behind Gandhi and get independence first. Then we can discuss philosophy and religion with the world. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he explained that no, Krishna consciousness is the eternal occupation of the soul. Governments will always be changing. Who rules today and who rules tomorrow? It is always being transformed by the waves of time. But the one supreme eternal truth must be established today. It cannot wait. The only problem in all of existence is lack of Krishna consciousness. And the only solution to all the problems of the world must be Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada explained to us. He said, I was very, very happy to be defeated by my spiritual master. In the same way, the great all-conquering scholar Nimai Pandit was most happy to be defeated by his spiritual master. After staying some time in Navadvip, Ishwarapuri, who never stayed in one place for very long, continued his traveling, purifying with his lotus feet various parts of the world. The Vaishnavas, when they would see Nimai, they were simultaneously full of joy, because just by seeing him, their love for Krishna was awakened like never before. But simultaneously, they were filled with sorrow, because he was still in the role of a pundit, of an academic teacher. He was not manifesting the attributes of a devotee. In fact, when he would see devotees, he would put them in terrible anxiety by forcing them to talk about all different types of materialistic topics. And he would just somehow or other, you couldn't get away from him. He would just grab you and just start challenging you about logic and verb roots and all these things. And he would get them into a whole topic and they wouldn't say anything about Krishna. And they would just think, wow, you are wasting our time. They would say, Nimai, you are simply wasting your precious time. Why don't you become a devotee? Take the name of Krishna. What will you gain by all this temporary academic information? How will it help you at the time of death? What will it do for the world? It is all illusion. It is all Maya. The devotees would go to the river Ganges, and they would pray to the river Ganges. They would pray to Lord Krishna, please make Nimai Pandit a devotee. One such devotee was Mukunda. Mukunda was somewhere around the age of Lord Chaitanya. And he was such a great devotee. He would sing Kirtan so sweetly that it would melt the hearts of all the Vaishnavas. The devotees could not give up the association of Mukunda. One day, Mukunda Dat was walking, and Nimai grabbed him and challenged him to a debate. Started asking him questions. And Mukunda was also a very great scholar. He replied, and Nimai would tear all of his arguments to pieces. And then Mukunda would try to reply again, and again he defeated him. And Mukunda began to think in the core of his heart that this is not an ordinary human being. How can anyone be so learned? If only he would become a devotee of Krishna. If he becomes a devotee of Krishna, I will never, ever, ever give up his association. Another day, Lord Chaitanya was walking down the main road, and Mukunda was coming from the river Ganges. And when Mukunda saw Lord Chaitanya, he understood that he's going to make me talk about all these material things. So he changed his direction and ran away. And Lord Chaitanya was with some of his students. He said, why did Mukunda run away? And the student said, oh, he must have just thought that he has some very important responsibility in that direction. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, that is not the reason. Because Mukunda is a Vaishnava, and he only likes to talk about Krishna. He only likes to chant the names of Krishna. He does not want to waste time talking all nonsense, and that's why he doesn't want to talk to me. And then he looked in the direction of Mukunda. He said, you just wait, someday, my child, I will become such a Vaishnava that Brahma and Shiva will come to worship me. I will become such a Vaishnava, then you and all the Vaishnavas will never be able to leave my association. And all the students heard what he said, but they could not understand why he is saying like this. One day, Lord Chaitanya saw Gadadhar, and he trapped him. He said, Gadadhar, tell me, what is the meaning of liberation? Gadadhar Pandit replied, liberation means to become free from the sufferings of this material world and go beyond the bodily concept of life, beyond birth and death. And Lord Chaitanya said, that is not correct. And then he defeated everything Gadadhar said. And when Lord Chaitanya would defeat, what could you say? Krishna says in Gita, Sarvasya chaham ridishani vishto matasmitir jnanam abohanam cha vidaishta sarveraham eva vedyo vedanta kridveda vedeva chaham. He is in everyone's heart. He is the source of all knowledge. He is the source of all remembrance. He's also the source of all forgetfulness. He is the author of the Vedas. He is the goal of Vedanta. He is the all-knowing. He is the knower of past, present, and future. When the Lord challenges in debate, who could stand before him? So as Lord Chaitanya was very, very strongly defeating all the words of Gadadhar Pandit was thinking in his heart, I want to run away. Because it had nothing to do with Krishna. I want to flee. And Lord Chaitanya, he said, all right, Gadadhar, now you can go home, but tomorrow I will have more questions for you. In this way, the devotees, they loved him, but they could not tolerate what he would speak. But everyone loved him. Sometimes it is explained that the young ladies, when they would see him walking down the street, they were thinking that he is Kamadev. And the Pandits, when they saw him, they were thinking, he is Brihaspati. And when the yogis would see him, they would think, he is the master of all mystic perfections. And when the devotees would see him, they would feel the ecstasy of seeing Krishna. One time, Nimai Pandit went to the store of a weaver, a tailor making clothes, and he said, please give me the best clothes you have. And the tailor came and gave him the best clothes he had. He said, you try this on. You wear it for some time. If you like it, you keep it. You don't have to pay me anything. If after some days you like it, you can give me whatever you like. And Nimai would smile and bless him. And then he went to the home of a milkman. And the milkman sat him down and started saying nice jokes to him, sweet, humorous words. And then he brought him his finest ghee and his finest yogurt and milk and different sweetmeats, and just offered them all to the Lord. Please honor my house by taking these things. And the Lord would bless him. And then he went to the shop of a garland maker, and he said, please give me your best garland. And the garland maker came and gave him the best garland. He said, you wear it. You don't have to pay anything. And then he went to the shop of someone who makes fragrant oils. He said, give me your best oils. And the oil man started personally anointing every limb of his body with his most precious fragrant oils, and then gave him a big bottle. He said, you take this home, you take your bath, and if still it's fragrant after your bath, then you can come, and if you like, you can pay me something. Otherwise, be happy. In this way, the Lord was so charming, so attractive, that everyone simply wanted to make him happy and please him, even though they did not know who he was. One day he came to the house of a great all-knowing seer of past, present, and future. And Lord Chaitanya asked him, please tell me who I was in my previous birth. So the seer went into trance. He began to chant his holy mantra of Gopal. This mantra would give him a vision of a person's previous lives. So as he was chanting, he saw the beautiful form of four-armed Narayan standing, giving blessings to the whole universe. Then he saw the beautiful form of a little baby being born in the dungeon of Kamsa, in the presence of Devaki and Vasudeva. Then he saw the beautiful form of Shamsundar standing in his threefold bending form, playing upon his flute in the holy land of Vrindavan. And the astrologer had never seen anything like this. He started praying to Gopal that you're giving me so many darshans, but please reveal to me who this boy Nimai Pandit was in his past life. And then he saw the ocean of devastation and the massive form of Matsya Avatar playing in that ocean. Then he saw Kurmadev, massive turtle with the Mandara mountain on his back. And then he saw Lord Varahadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a boar with the earth resting gracefully on his beautiful tusks. Then he saw the form of Lord Narasimhadev tearing to pieces the body of Hiranyaksha, the king of the Daityas. Then he saw the beautiful form of Vamanadev placing his lotus foot on the head of Bali Maharaj. Then he saw the form of Parasuram with his axe and his choppers destroying the Kshatriya race. Then he saw the beautiful form of Sri Ramchandra with the complexion of Durva grass, sitting on a throne with Lakshman and Sita by his sides. He saw all these various incarnations. He saw the form of Buddha sitting in meditation. And he saw Kalki Avatar on his horse destroying the wicked at the end of the age of Kali. And as he saw all of these various wonderful, wonderful forms of the Lord, he was struck with wonder. Then he saw Jagannath and Balaram and Subhadra. And he was so completely confused. He started praying to the Lord that, please, what's happening? Who is this child? Please tell me. Is he some sort of a mystic that he's doing this to me? Is he God? Who is he? What is he? Where am I? And at that moment, Nimai Pandit, he said to the astrologer, so, who am I? What is your report? And the great seer, he replied, let me meditate on my mantra. Come back this afternoon and I will tell you who you were in your past life. In this way, Vishwambar charmed the hearts of all. Every day for at least 2 or 3 hours he would go to the house of Sridhar Kolavecha. Kolavecha Sridhar was very poor. He lived in a very simple thatched hut where rain would come through the roof. On the roof of his thatched hut, which was just straw, sometimes vegetables would grow on it. And he would sell bananas, banana roots, banana leaves, bananas. And he would always give the lowest possible, fairest price he could, because he had no ambition for money or maintenance. And whatever little tiny money he would make, he would first take half of it to worship Vishnu and the Mother Ganges. And whatever was left, he somehow or other maintained. But he was always chanting the holy names and always in ecstatic love. And sometimes during the night he would chant all night long, and the atheists and materialists of Navadvip, they would curse him and chastise him. You are so poor. Why don't you worship Goddess Durga? We have so much money, we have nice houses, we have good clothes. You have nothing. What is your Krishna doing for you? And you're staying up all night chanting just to try to express the pains of hunger in your belly, your empty belly. Sometimes they would throw a vegetable at him and say, just eat this and be quiet. But sure, Sridhar didn't mind what anyone said. He didn't mind any condition, because Kolavecha Sridhar was completely satisfied simply remembering Krishna, talking about Krishna, and chanting the holy names of Krishna. So Vishwambar would come to Sridhar's house. And one day he said, Sridhar, look at your clothes. They have so many patches and so many holes. They're so old. What is the use of your chanting and worshipping Krishna? All these worshippers of the demigods and demigoddesses, they have such nice clothes. Why don't you worship them? And what are you eating? You're so skinny and emaciated because you hardly eat. And look at your house. It's just made out of straw and thatched. Sridhar said, my Lord. He didn't say my Lord. Not yet. He said, Nimai, the king is beautiful, elegant clothes, silks and jewels. He's living in a big palace, and he's eating fine foods. And the bird in the tree, he's living in some grass nest. He's just wearing the same feathers his whole life. He's just eating some leaves. He said, but the king and the bird, they are both passing time in the same way in this world. So what is the difference whether you have a lot or a little? Everyone is just passing their time in this world in the same way. But I am satisfied. I am happy. My clothes may have some knots and some stitches in them, but I'm happy. What is the matter? Vishwambar replied, I know that you are hiding a great treasure. You are cheating the world, appearing to be so poor and simple like a beggar, but you are hiding a great treasure. And someday I am going to reveal this treasure to the whole world and expose you. And Sridhar, what are you talking? You can come to my house, you can search everywhere. What is here is everywhere. I have nothing except what you see. Someday I will expose your treasure to the world. And Nimai, with Sridhar, sometimes he would take his bananas. What is the cost? Sridhar would say, the cost is... And then he would give the lowest cost in the whole marketplace. Very fair. Nimai said, this is too much. I will give you half. But how will I survive if you only give me half? Then I will take it for nothing. Why you are taking for nothing? Nimai said, I am a Brahmin. You should give me. But whatever little I earn, I use to worship Ganga. Well, I am the Lord and the Master of the Ganga. The Ganga is emanating from me. Vishnu, Vishnu, how can you say this? You're becoming more arrogant as you're getting older. Now you're saying you're Vishnu, the cause of the Ganga, the worshipable object of everyone. In this way, they would have wonderful reciprocation of divine love each day. And Nimai would take his bananas. And sometimes a pumpkin squash would grow on his roof. And he would always give that to Nimai as a gift. And Nimai would specially have Sachimata cook it in milk with rice as a preparation. So Nimai Pandit, in his beautiful youth as a scholar, was simply giving pleasure to everyone, especially his mother, Sachimata. One night, on a full moon night, Sachimata was in her room and she heard Krishna's flute coming from Nimai's room. And as she heard this flute, she fell unconscious in transcendental prema. And she came back to conscious and searched out the source of the flute. And there she saw her son Nimai. And on his chest she saw the moon and all the stars. These types of wonderful experiences, Sachimata was being given constantly by Lord Gaur Hari, who took birth as her son within his home. Lord Gaur Sundar taught in the courtyard of Mukund Sanjay, just before his Chandi Mandap, every day. And thousands upon thousands of students came to study under him. One day, the greatest, most famous scholar in all the world came to Navadvip, especially for the purpose of defeating in debate everyone. The whole of Navadvip was shaking in fear because Navadvip was the high seat of learning for the whole world. People were coming from everywhere to study in Navadvip. If this Pandit were to defeat the Pandits of Navadvip, Navadvip would lose all of its reputation. It would just become an ordinary place. This was the Digvijay Pandit. It was well known that he was a great devotee of the goddess Saraswati. He worshipped her with such devotion that she personally appeared before him. And in this splendid darshan, the goddess spoke to him. She said, "May you conquer everyone in all the three worlds in debate." From that time, every time he opened his mouth, Goddess Saraswati personally spoke through him. Every book that was ever written was on his tongue at all times. And he had the Vijay Patra. Anybody he defeated, they would have to sign their signature that I was defeated by Keshav Kashmiri. And he had traveled everywhere, to all parts of the world, and no one could even stand before him without being completely demolished in debate. And after conquering every part of the planet, he came to Navadvip. He was so proud. He had attained such opulences. When he came, it was in a great procession. There were beautifully decorated elephants, horses, chariots, Brahmins chanting, bands playing instruments, thousands of followers and disciples coming with him. This is how he traveled wherever he went. And when this grand procession came into Navadvip, the people were thinking, we are ruined. What will we do? Who will debate him? At that time, Nimai Pandit was sitting on the banks of the Ganges with his students in the evening, and some of his students explained that the Digvijay Pandit has come. It is said that when he speaks, the goddess Saraswati speaks through him. He has conquered everyone, everywhere. And now the whole city of Navadvip is trembling in fear that he has come, not knowing what to do. Nimai Pandit replied, you will see the pride of this great Pandit will be crushed into powder. Krishna will not allow anyone to become too infatuated with false ego. A tree and a virtuous person both demonstrate the principle of humility. A tree that is possessing many luscious, ripe fruits, that tree, as well as a man who has real virtues, will always bow down low before all living beings in humility. But those who are proud are soon to be ruined. Ravana was so proud. Nahusha, Vena, Kamsa, they had conquered all directions. But due to their pride, the Supreme Lord crushed them and took everything away. This Pandit will soon be defeated. The Lord will not tolerate him. And then Nimai began to meditate in his own heart. If I defeat this Pandit in a public assembly, his pride will be so crushed that he will not survive. He will most certainly die. How can I somehow or other defeat him without disgracing him? And then he made a plan. And just at that time, Keshava Kashmiri, the Digvijay Pandit, began to walk along the banks of the Ganges. And there he saw a large assembly of young students sitting in a big circle like the petals of a lotus. And in the center of that circle was the great Nimai Pandit. When Digvijay Pandit saw him, he never saw anyone so beautiful, so charming. The beautiful sound of his words were so sweet that he practically became speechless. And he gradually moved closer and closer. And he asked one of the students, "Who is that?" "That is the great Nimai Pandit, the greatest teacher in Navadvip." When he came to the center, Nimai saw him. He was only a teenage boy. And the Keshav Kashmiri was such a reverential, esteemed. Nimai offered his obeisances to the Keshava Kashmiri. And he said, "We are so fortunate you have come today. Your fame is spread throughout the world. Please make us fortunate by composing a poem in glorification of the river Ganges." The Digvijay Pandit immediately began to speak. As he spoke, his voice was like thunder, thundering out these slokas in meticulously beautiful Sanskrit prose. He went on reciting slokas that he was composing right there on the spot, and he continued for 3 hours without hesitation. And the students, they were just stunned with his scholarship. He was so scholarly. His words were so high that nobody could even understand what he was saying. And after he completed with great pride, he ended. And the students were breathless. And Nimai, very gently and politely, he said, "Oh, what you have spoken, this poetry is very nice. So nice that we couldn't understand anything you said. But I'd like you to first analyze the good qualities, and then I want you to analyze the faults." Keshav Kashmiri was terribly insulted. He said, "I have never spoken anything with faults. There is no fault with my poetry." And Nimai Pandit first began to evaluate a particular verse. He recited it. Keshav Kashmiri, he said, "I recited those verses like the raging wind. How did you remember that verse so perfectly?" Nimai said, "By the grace of Krishna. By the grace of Krishna, you can recite such nice poetry. By the grace of Krishna, I can remember anything I hear once. I am Shrutidhar." And then Nimai Pandit began to explain the good parts of the verse, and then he explained the defects. And Keshav Kashmiri, when he was trying to defend his composition, he found himself, for the first time in his whole life, speechless. His mind went completely blank. His tongue would not move. He was praying to Saraswati, "Mataji, save me, save me. What are you doing? You always speak through my tongue. You always give knowledge through my mind." But nothing happened. And as he was speechless, he became so embarrassed, so ashamed, that all the students began to laugh. But Nimai Pandit, wanting to protect his dignity, he told them, "Be quiet, do not laugh." And then somehow or other, he feebly began to speak something to defend himself. And Nimai just, with his razor-like brilliance, he just chopped to pieces everything he said. Everything he tried to say, Nimai defeated utterly. And the Digvijay Pandit just stood there. He couldn't move, he could not speak. He was completely bewildered, ashamed, and his pride was crushed to powder. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki! And then Nimai said, "Oh, actually your poem was very nice. But why don't you go home tonight and study your books, and tomorrow I'll ask you more questions." So all alone, he went back to his home. And his heart was in so much pain. He just worshipped Saraswati and prayed to her, "Why did you do this to me? Why have you abandoned me?" And somehow or other he fell asleep. And that night, the goddess Saraswati appeared to him in a dream and told him that you are very fortunate. You have had darshan with the Supreme Lord Krishna. That Nimai Pandit is the supreme absolute truth, the source of Brahman Paramatma. He is Bhagavan, and he has appeared in this incarnation in Navadvip. He is my master. Whatever knowledge I have, I am getting from him. From him everything emanates. I am his servant. Even I cannot stand before him and speak. The great demigods Brahma and Shiva offer prayers and surrender to him with their lives. You are most fortunate. You have been defeated by him today. In fact, I tell you this. You have performed tapasya for my pleasure. You have worshipped me. You have offered prayers to me your whole life. And I gave you the power of such intellect that you can defeat anyone. But that was not my real benediction. My real benediction is today I have guided you to have the personal direct darshan of the goal of all life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishwambar. Now you go to him and you make your life perfect by surrendering to him with all humility. The ultimate gift of my love for you is to give you the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in fact, we should know this is the ultimate gift we can get from any demigod. When the demigods give you material benedictions, they are not really helping you at all. But when they are supremely merciful to you, they will bring you to Radha Gopinath's temple and encourage you to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and chant the holy names of Krishna. The next morning, the Digvijay Pandit Keshav Kashmiri came very early to the house of Nimai Pandit, all alone. And he fell at the feet of Nimai Pandit, began to offer prayers. Lord Gaurchandra asked him, "What are you doing? Why you have come like this?" He explained that I am come to take shelter of your lotus feet. I have come to surrender to you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who else could be so learned as you? And who else but Bhagavan himself could possibly be so merciful and so expert to completely defeat me, crush my pride, without disgracing me in this world? Last night, the goddess Saraswati appeared to me and revealed to me the truths about you. And now I surrender to your lotus feet. Lord Chaitanya instructed him that materialistic learning, materialistic opulences are all temporary and illusory. The only thing that is eternal is devotion to Krishna. And devotion to Krishna can only take place Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnana amani namanadena kirtaniya sadahari. When we are taking the position of the humble servant of the servant of his servants. Now you go, and wherever you go, you always remain the humble servant of the Lord. And always remember Krishna. And do not waste your time with anything but Krishna. Krishna katha and Krishna Kirtan. And your life will be perfect. Keshav Kashmiri left all of his beautiful elephants and all of his horses and all of his chariots and all of his thousands and thousands of disciples and all of his elegant clothes and jewelry and even his Vijay Patra. Alone, he walked in a state of great humility and bliss, constantly chanting the glories of Lord Gaur Chandra and the holy names of Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki. After the defeat of the Digvijay Pandit, everyone in Navadvip was struck with wonder. How is it this little child has defeated the greatest scholar in all the universe? And because of this, more and more and more people were coming to study under the great Nimai Pandit. The Lord in his household life with Lakshmi Devi performed the greatest, purest, most wonderful example for all grihastas to follow. He would invite so many guests to the house, and Lakshmi Devi always engaged in assisting her husband in taking care of these guests. One day, he invited 10 to 20 sannyasis to come to the house. And when they arrived, there was no food in the house. And Lord Chaitanya told Sachi Mata and Lakshmi Devi, please arrange prasad for them. And very mysteriously, just a moment later, someone just happened to come to the house with a bag of rice. Someone else came with a bag of vegetables. Someone else came with milk. They said, please take this. So Lakshmi Devi and Sachi Mata cooked wonderful bhoga. The Lord offered it to the deity of Vishnu, and then he personally served these 10 or 20 sannyasis. He served them. He melted their hearts with his hospitality. And the people of Navadvip were thinking, who are these 10 or 20 sannyasis? That they are getting such loving treatment from Lord Vishwambar and Lakshmi Devi. Perhaps they are some demigods. Perhaps they are great sages who have come to receive this honor. But Lord Chaitanya treated everyone in this way. In fact, he established the principle that the house of a grihasta, if guests that come are not treated with love and respect and not served with great humility, then that house is more condemned than hell. That the prime duty of a grihasta is to be charitable. Even if one has very little, if one has practically nothing, one should give some water, some sitting place. But that charitable disposition within the heart of a grihasta is what makes his ashram pleasing to Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya, with whatever he had, anyone who was in need of anything, he would always give them. He was the embodiment of a charitable disposition, of sharing what Krishna had given him with all others. One day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his mother and his wife that I am going to East Bengal to teach. And then he left. As he was traveling on the road to East Bengal, all the people that saw him were so attracted by his beauty and his characteristics. Wherever he went, people just wanted to see him and follow him. And then he came to the border of East Bengal. He approached the holy river Padmavati. And upon seeing the wide, beautiful current of these sacred waters, with beautiful trees and forests on both sides, the Lord became filled with joy. He bathed in the river and played in the river with his students and friends. And when the people of East Bengal found out that the great Nimai Pandit has come to our country, they became so happy. They were rushing to him. That people worked for years and years and years to get enough money to somehow or other travel to Navadvip to learn under Nimai Pandit. But we are so fortunate that he has come here to teach us all for free. And soon there were thousands upon thousands of students studying under him. And he was teaching the subject matter of grammar and logic with such precision that anyone who studied under him would become a supremely qualified Pandit within 2 months, with all accreditation. While the Lord was away, Srimati Lakshmi Devi was unable to bear separation from him. Lakshmi Devi was constantly in thought of her eternal beloved Lord, Gauranga. In fact, she could not eat and she could not sleep, so that no one would know the distress she was in. She would pretend to eat and she would pretend to sleep, because she did not want to inconvenience anyone to suffer the sorrows in her heart. Lakshmi Devi was crying, weeping, her heart torn in separation from her Lord. It was so unbearable that one day she went to the banks of the holy river Ganges, and she sat there and began to meditate on the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga. And in her meditation she placed the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya over her heart, and chanting his holy names in the ecstasy of separation, she left this world. In fact, it is said she was bitten by the serpent of separation, and her immortal soul returned to Vaikuntha to be reunited with Sri Gaur Hari. When Sachi Mata heard this news that Lakshmi Devi had departed, she was weeping. She was in devastation. She loved Lakshmi so dearly. and all the relatives and all the friends in Navadvip, they were mourning over the loss of this most merciful, kind, and illustrious personality. Meanwhile, in East Bengal, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had concluded his teachings, and all of his students, thousands and thousands of them, they all were bringing him gifts. Some were bringing carpets, some were bringing cloth, some were bringing pots, some were bringing vessels. There were just cartloads of gifts that were being brought to him. And just as he was saying goodbye to his students, at that time he was approached by a very great Brahmin of the name Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was a Brahmin who was seriously thirsting to understand the goal of life. He went to so many different gurus and pandits and sages and yogis, and he read so many different types of books and scriptures, trying to understand what is the goal of life and how to achieve the goal of life. But his heart was unsatisfied. He could not find the proper answers to his questions. And he prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead again and again and again, chanting various mantras for guidance. But one night, a transcendental personality appeared to him in a dream and told him, "You are seeking to understand what is the goal of life and how to achieve it. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the ultimate object of your worship, has appeared as Nimai Pandit. You go to him, you surrender at his lotus feet, and he will teach you the goal of life." Nimai was surrounded by so many of his students and well-wishers. In that assembly, Tapan Mishra came and fell at his lotus feet in full prostration and surrendered his life to Nimai. He said, "I have come to ask you, please tell me, what is the goal of life and how may I achieve it?" The great and merciful Vishwambhara replied, "The goal of life is pure unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna is a person. He has a transcendental form. His form is the source of the impersonal Brahmajyoti. To achieve his abode through the process of unalloyed bhakti is the goal of life. And how to achieve that goal? The Lord appears in every yuga to teach the process. In Satya Yuga, he appeared as the Yuga avatar to teach the process of meditation. In Treta Yuga, he appeared to teach the process of worship. In Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga worship? Yajna. In Treta Yuga, he came to teach the process of yajna. In Dwapar Yuga, he has come to teach the process of worship. And in the age of Kali Yuga, the Yuga avatar comes to give the process, the only process that could cleanse the heart and elevate one to the position to pure unalloyed love for God. And that is through the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Please hear, O Tapan Mishra, this illustrious verse from the Brihanaradiya Purana, which you should meditate on and always remember and apply to your life. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranyata. And in this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, no other way than the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. The chanting of the holy names of Krishna. The chanting of the names of Krishna for liberation at the lotus feet of the Lord. Take the Maha Mantra, the greatest of all mantras, and chant it always. Please hear from me these 16 names of 32 syllables and keep it always within your heart and always upon your tongue. The Maha Mantra is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting this mantra. Krishna has appeared within the beautiful sound of his name. And by chanting this mantra, which is, you will achieve the ultimate goal of Krishna. And he also explained the beautiful chant, Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan. He told him, you chant Hare Krishna and everything will be revealed to you. And later on, I will instruct you again. At that time, Tapan Mishra asked Lord Vishwambar to come to a secluded place. And he explained to him that this Brahman who appeared to me in a dream has revealed to me that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate object of worship. And Nimai replied, yes, this is true, but you should not tell anyone, because I have come in this age of Kali Yuga in the role of a devotee to teach devotion to myself. So you must always keep this truth concealed secretly within your heart. Tapan Mishra, he prayed to Nimai, let me come to Navadvip with you and be with you always. Lord Chaitanya told him, you should go to Varanasi, and soon I will come there to meet you. Tapan Mishra, following the advice of the Lord, went to Varanasi. And later on, he became the most blessed father of Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. The people of East Bengal had a wonderful festival to show their great love for Lord Chaitanya. And then he departed. And he brought so many goods and so much wealth and gifts for everyone in Navadvip, of his associates. But when he arrived, all the people were still suffering and mourning due to the departure of Lakshmi Devi. So the people did not want to spoil the wonderful welcoming festival of Lord Chaitanya with this bad news. So they tried to keep it hidden from him. Lord Chaitanya was explaining to everyone about his wonderful pastimes and adventures in East Bengal. And he was joking so much about the various funny mannerisms of the inhabitants of East Bengal. And he was making everyone laugh. But one thing he noticed is his mother was very much avoiding showing her face to him, because she did not want him to see the tracks of her tears that were constantly covering her face. Nimai went to take his bath in the Ganges, and he returned, and he approached his mother, and he asked her, "What is wrong? Why you are avoiding me? Why is it you will not look upon me, my beloved mother?" And Sachi Mata, her heart so wounded by the pain of separation, she was not able to speak. Lord Gauranga, understanding that Lakshmi Devi had left, and being told by the people around of what had happened, he put his head down and lamented in separation from his beloved. And then he spoke to his mother Sachi Devi. That the relationships we have in this world, they never last for very long. By the grace of God, all things in this world have beginning and end. But my mother, you should know that I will always be with you. In this way, he somehow pacified Sachi Mata. But she was very anxious to get him married once again, fearing that he may leave her. Vishwarup had left her. Jagannath Mishra had left her. Lakshmi Devi had left her. For the happiness of her son, she was thinking and praying for another wife. Every day when Sachi Mata would go to the Ganges, one very, very beautiful young girl, endowed with the sweetest, most blessed qualities, would bow down before her. Her name was Vishnupriya. She was the daughter of Sanatan Mishra, or Sanatan Pandit. And there was a Brahmin of the name Kashinath. And Sachi Mata asked Kashinath if it is possible that he could arrange the marriage between her son and Vishnupriya. So Kashinath went to the home of Sanatan Pandit and explained that there is no one more qualified to have your daughter's hand in marriage than the great son of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi, whose name is Vishwambhar. When Sanatan Pandit heard this, he became very, very elated. Who could ever dream of having such a son-in-law? So the arrangements for the marriage were confirmed, and at that time, Buddhimanta Khan, he came forward and he said, "This will not be another poor Brahmin's marriage. I will provide all the expenses. It will be such a marriage that even the kings and princes will be wishing to have. There will be no shortage of anything." And then Mukund Sanjay, in whose courtyard the Lord would teach, he came forward He said, why you want to pay all the expenses? Why you don't allow us to help? So in this way, Buddhimanta Khan, Mukund Sanjay, they just decided it will be the most glorious wedding. And they had Adivas, where they bathed the Lord, and he was giving gifts to everyone. In fact, he was giving so many gifts. It is explained that he was giving beautiful garlands and betels and sandalwood to everyone that came. But some people were greedy, so they would go to the front of the line and get, then they would hide their gifts, and they would go back to the back of the line and come and take it again. Then they would hide that, and go to the back of the line and take it again. So Lord Chaitanya could see that these people were greedy and they were cheating. And he was thinking, this is an aparad. This is not good, that they're cheating. So therefore he announced, I will give everyone 3 times. You come 3 times and take it from me. Because he knew that everyone will be satisfied. Then no one will cheat. This is the way he solved the problem of the offense. Not by chastising them, by giving them so much that they just didn't want any more. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki! And everyone was so happy as he was giving gifts, showering gifts on everyone. And then there was the wonderful procession where there was bands playing and people singing. And as the procession was going from Lord Chaitanya's house to Vishnu Priya's house, so many people were singing and dancing. And of course, for marriages, they all sing the names of Lord Hari. And all these children came. Thousands of children were just jumping and dancing, jumping and dancing. And it was so enthusiastic and so contagious that all the adults who saw the children, they just started jumping and dancing. And it was just, everyone was laughing. It was in bliss. Everyone was in bliss. They never saw such a wonderful, wonderful procession. And Lord Chaitanya on the palanquin was just smiling and glancing upon everyone. And the ladies who saw the procession, the elderly ladies, they were thinking, why can't we marry our daughter to him? Who is so fortunate parent to have a daughter to marry him? And the young ladies, they were thinking, why I can't marry him? And then they arrived at the house of Vishnu Priya, and Sanatan Pandit and his blessed wife, they came out and they offered him all worship. They washed his feet and they offered him garlands and gifts and cloth, Madhupark, Achman, Argya, according to the tradition. And then they brought him inside, and there was the exchange of garlands between Vishnu Priya and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there was great dancing and singing, and people were throwing all rice on them, and flowers were showering from the heavens. And as Vishnu Priya and Vishwambar were sitting together, the people from Vishwambar's side started chanting different mantras very loud. And then the people from the family and the guests of Vishnu Priya Devi, they started making sounds and they started competing who could sing louder. And Lord Chaitanya was encouraging them to sing, and there was a great competition of loud noise, and everyone was dancing and singing and so happy at this wonderful marriage of the Lord and his eternal consort. They spent the night, and the next day Sanatan Pandit, he bade farewell to them, and there was a wonderful, wonderful procession. As they were traveling back to Vishwambar's home, the people on the road were all dancing and singing and looking, and they were thinking, this couple, they look like Shiva and Parvati. And someone else said, no, it looks like Kamadev, Cupid, and Rati. And someone else said, no, it's like Sita and Ram. And someone else said, it's like Lakshmi Narayan. In this way, everyone, their hearts were charmed by the attraction of the beauty of the divine couple. Sachimata welcomed them and accepted with such intimate love this beautiful and chaste ocean of virtues, Srimati Vishnupriya. And thus the Lord lived with his mother and Vishnupriya Devi. And one day, Lord Gauranga told his mother that I will go to Gaya to perform the Shraddha for my father and our departed forefathers. It is the custom that when father dies, the Shraddha is performed to liberate the father from any undesirable place that he may be. Generally, the Shraddha ceremony is performed by Vaishnavas, by inviting great devotees of the Lord, and then offering a feast to Lord Vishnu, and then to the Vaishnavas, and then offering those remnants to the soul of the departed ancestors. But traditionally, Gaya is a very special place for this Shraddha ceremony. So Lord Chaitanya began his journey with some of his students. As they were traveling, Lord Chaitanya contracted a fever. And his students began to bring medicines, various medicines, but his fever did not subside. They did not know what to do. He was literally laying right on the side of the road. And then he explained to his students that the cure to my fever will be the water that washes the feet of a Vaishnava Brahmin. So they collected water that washed the feet of a devotee, and they brought it. And with great happiness, the Lord drank that water that washed the feet of his devotee. And immediately, his fever disappeared. They entered into Gaya. He went to that sacred temple where the footprints of Lord Vishnu, of the name Gadadhar, have been present since time immemorial. When he saw the beautiful deity of those footprints, he saw hundreds and hundreds of beautiful garlands decorating those feet. And he saw incense and all fine oils. It was a beautiful sight. And the pure-hearted Brahmins who were worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord were chanting beautiful prayers in glorification of the Lord's lotus feet. They were chanting that these feet, they are the ultimate goal of everyone's life. These are the feet that are always being meditated upon by Lord Shiva. These are the feet that are always upon the heart, worshipped by Lakshmi Devi. These lotus feet are the very source of the holy river Ganges, which descends to purify all the worlds. Anyone who remembers these feet, Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, will never go near him. The greatest of the yogis, they perform severe tapasya to achieve the dust of these lotus feet. And the devotees of the Lord, The devotees will not renounce these feet for anything or everything of all the worlds. These are the feet that Bali Maharaj placed on his head and surrendered his life to. These are the feet that are always resting upon the cushion of Anantashesha. Everyone, please, sing the glories and meditate upon these lotus feet. As Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these songs and saw the beautiful feet of the Lord, for the first time, the exhibition of his ecstasies of Sri Radha's love for Krishna manifested. Tears started pouring from his eyes like the rivers, Ganges and Jamuna. His hair stand on end, perspiration from every pore of his body. His limbs begin to tremble. No one had ever seen such ecstatic symptoms before. And just at that moment, Srila Ishwara Puri entered into the temple. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu humbly bowed down at the feet of Ishwara Puri, who embraced him with great love. And Lord Chaitanya, with a voice trembling in ecstatic love, began to speak. He said, "Today my pilgrimage has borne its true fruit. By performing Shraddha at this holy place of Gaya, one can deliver one or two of the ancestors. But just by seeing your holiness, Srila Ishwara Puri, all ancestors, for all times, millions and millions will be delivered from the cycle of birth and death." You are so pure that your feet sanctify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Indeed, your feet embody all sacred places of pilgrimage. I beg you this one gift. Please grant me the gift of devotion to Krishna. I surrender to you. Ishwara Puri spoke that since I met you in Navadvip, I'm only thinking of you. Ever since I have left Navadvip, the thought of you